Greetings, students, knights, and teachers of the Jedi Praxeum. We're in our fourth of these Wednesday videos. And while most of them up to this point have just been introspective soliloquy, I want to start with the question for this week. I want everybody to think about what it is you want from the Jedi path, from the Jedi way, from the training to be Jedi. Because those are three very different things. The Jedi path is a philosophical mindset. It is what everything that Jedi understand. It's the code and the maxims and tenets and all of the various lessons of Jedi. And the arts are how we express that. The mind arts are mental acuity and mental training. The body arts are physical training. Some of them are martial, some of them are not martial. They can be physical, just exercise expressions. They can be things like the breathwork exercises that we're currently doing. And then there are the spirit arts. The spirit arts are two very different sects. One of them is the internal spirit art, and one is the external spirit art. The internal spirit art is what the Force does for us and to us. It is the changes that are made here. Now, the external spirit arts are what the Force can do with us. That is the extension of energy out into the world around us. That is the Force everywhere else. That is the difference between a control skill, a sense skill, and an alter skill. A control skill is very much an internal spirit art. A sense skill, depending on what you're sensing, can be either an internal or external spirit art. An alter skill, 99% of the time, is an external spirit art. Even if that alter skill that you're doing is a sense of personal healing, you're directing energy from inside of yourself to a point outside of yourself to take on a healing vibration so that it can remove negative energy and help to increase positive energy and healthy cells in an area in yourself from outside of yourself. This is still outside of yourself right here. You are projecting out of your hand into, even if you're making contact with it, which typically you wouldn't. You would typically just make contact with your aura. This is a directed personal healing technique in its visual application. I'm not honestly doing anything, but it is still an external spirit art, just being applied back to yourself. Reiki is a good example of that. But the internal spirit arts, the deep introspective meditations, the celestial meditations, those are all very much internal. They change you. It is the Force changing you, not you changing things with the Force. So there are many avenues upon which we can delve deeper into the Jedi way. There are some that focus solely on, well, not solely, predominantly on mystic arts, external and internal. There are some that deal with primarily shamanic or shamanic practices. There are some that deal in merely the refinement brought on by the training of inner alchemy, the refinement of the base into the purified. And there are people that do it for a myriad of other reasons. And each of them have their valid points. Some of them are less aligned with the original intention of the Jedi way. That's not to say that they're not a valid expression of the way. Okay? You'll get old-timers like myself that are very focused on the earlier examples of the Jedi way because that's what we came up with, and it's what works best for us. It's what fits us best. But we're not the only game in town. From that same perspective, though, there are people that come to the Jedi path looking for an answer. And sometimes the answer they find is that the Jedi is not the way for you. You know what? That's okay. I did Druid training too. I've done Wiccan training too. I've done alchemical training too. Done various sects of Druidic training. But it's still only part of the truth I have found on the Jedi way. For a long time, we were very inclusive within the community in that we were more than willing and okay to have people outside of the path around us. Nowadays, it even starting to seem like the exact opposite. That our sense of inclusion is that, yes, you too can be Jedi if you just ignore one small thing and then just say, I'm Jedi. Close enough, I'm Jedi. And no one has a monopoly on specifically what Jedi is or is not. But you say that too many times and eventually you're way off in left field and you're using a term that doesn't fit anymore. But it's okay for us to not be the only game in town. Even within the mythos, there's many, many Force sects that are not Jedi. The most immediately popularized of those is the Guardians of the Wills. Made famous by the character Chirrut Imwe, played by Donnie Yen in Rogue One, and his best friend and former Guardian Baze, which I sadly do not know the actor there. I know Donnie from a lot of Kung Fu movies. But there are still hundreds of different sects. The Dathomirian witches, both Night Sisters and Day Sisters, the light and dark witches. They used the Force, but they weren't Jedi at all. They didn't even pretend to be. They used it in a very different way. But they still knew it was the Force. They still related it as that when that's how it was addressed. That's fine. We don't do that here. We don't have sects of magic that say that they use the Force to do magic. We have, at one point, we had sects of people that were termed Force mages. They did that. They cast and they used the Force as that source energy when it was written, when it was experienced, and when they expressed it. They never expressed it as a god manifesting of the Force. They said, of the Force. So we've had that middle ground of the community at one point too. I had a time as a Force mage shortly after returning from my Druidic practices. But it's gotten to a point where everyone wants everybody else to be Jedi. I don't. I know it sounds horrible, but I don't think that my way is going to fit everyone. Don't think that for a second. And no matter how long I've been on the path, I know I don't hold a monopoly on the answer of what a Jedi is or isn't. But we all know deep down what is or isn't Jedi. It's reflexive. You will know when that is not the Jedi way. You'll hear yourself say it, not even know why. But you will know at your core that it's not the Jedi way. Doesn't make it wrong, just makes it not the Jedi way. Which brings to the concept that not everyone needs to be Jedi. And that's okay. The path of the Jedi is diametric. It's yin and yang. It's light, it's dark. It's got its passive and its active. It's got its physical and its spiritual. It's got its mental and its emotional. It's got its open and it's got its restrictions. We are, as a former Jedi I used to say, we are generalists. Jack of all trades, master of none. But oftentimes better than a master of one. So, as Jedi, we can specialize in certain things, and those have come up since the earliest days. The concepts of the Guardian, the Consular, and the Sentinel, as it was presented in that three-tiered form for Knights of the Old Republic. Before that, it was just presented as a Guardian and Consular for the original RPGs. But the point that there are specializations within the path that allow you to maintain the path, but you focus more on one thing over another. It's not the same statement as accepting people that are with the path but not on it. For example, a consular was said to be the more force-focused of them, but that did not make them non-combative. The Guardian was to be the more combative of them, but that did not make them blind to the Force or unable to use it. They still focused on the Force, they just focused on more physical expressions of it. Something to increase stamina, strength, speed, healing. Whereas a consular would use a higher level of intuition and ability to influence, charisma, be it natural or augmented through a force technique. They were more force focused, but they would still take out the sword and whoop you if they had to. So that means a consular is not the same thing as a force mage. A force mage is someone that is not Jedi, that is very much of the spiritual belief of the Force and uses that base structure for any and all energy workings. Even that is still straddling somewhat of the path because it will use techniques that were created by the Jedi. It will still use techniques that were created for the Jedi. It will still use an energetic approach that is used of the Jedi. But then you step beyond our little corner and you get into things like Wicca and Druidry and Masonic lodges and things of that nature. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with people that have chosen that over this. The community used to very plainly know that. But now, it's hard to find someone that is in the community and not of the Jedi. And as much as I am aware that the community is not as large as it once was, I think that this lack of diversity has actually caused us to become a bit blind to our own weaknesses as paths, as people, as orders, as organizations, as faiths, we all have our blind spots. No two people walk the same path. We're all going to the top of the same mountain, but we all start from different places. So, I feel like we have lost some bit of our diversity of community by making the community so inclusive that it no longer needs to be diverse. Saying that I am a Jedi and a Druid, that's not, I am Jedi. Personally, I am Jedi. I know of people that are on the path right now that have trained in Druidry and in Wicca and several Masonic practices, but they're Jedi, and they take that very plainly as they are Jedi. But I think there are some that say it because that's what the community asks of them. This level of accepted conformity, of going, if you're going to be with a community of Jedi, you must be Jedi. I understand that you have practices outside of here. Keep those outside of here. But if you have to put on that hat to walk in a room, then, well, it's a fan club at that point. It's a members only kind of thing. And we suffer for it. We will suffer more and more for it as time goes. So if you know anyone on a Force adjacent path, an occult path, a neo-pagan path, New Age path, like straight crystal healing kind of New Age stuff that doesn't deal with any kind of ritual or structure, or if you know anybody that does Reiki or anything, and you want to invite them to experience the path, to experience the community, not the path. If you want them to experience the community, please do so. I feel like that kind of exposure is a needed thing. A Jedi is one who seeks to know all facets of the stone. Which is why when I'm teaching, I will take a facet and I will run that turd into the ground. Like the last 3 classes have all been about the knight, the warrior, just straight down into the ground with, this is your physical, this is your, this is why you need to be this way, even if it's just a little bit. I don't expect anybody to be me. I don't expect that kind of a collection that exists on my walls to be anywhere besides here. And truthfully, I don't expect anybody to train in anything physical. I'd like them to not be put off by it. Maybe even give it a try. But if you don't, you don't. That's fine. But that's just one facet of this stone. This weekend, we're moving away from that. We are moving into the very mystical aspect of the Force. And that will be the next 2 or 3 classes will be very mystic heavy. 2 of them definitely. I believe class 6 is a study hall type of thing, where we all come together and review what we've done so far and what's given us trouble and things of that nature. But we're starting away from the physical. We're going to be diving very deep into the spirit arts very soon. If you have friends on adjacent paths, this could give you somewhere to connect with them a little differently. If you run across something and You want some other perspective on it, by all means, ask them. Ask me. I have a lot of experience that I'm not directly teaching, but there are plenty of people here with outside experience. And those of you with outside experience, if you are taking the name Jedi to fit in, but you are a Wiccan, a Druid, a Mason, and you're just taking the name to fit in, I challenge you to stop. Because you shouldn't have to take a name that doesn't fit you to hang out with like-minded people. And if you decide to do that, if you decide to say, I'm only really taking this name to fit in, I'm going to stop. And somebody gives you any kind of ridicule for it, remove yourself from them. But as I am saying right now, as a member of the Praxeum staff, you will not receive that here. And if you do, it will not stand. So I leave you with that. The question again is, what do you expect to get from the training? And just to kind of think in the back, is this really the name you're wanting? Or are you just using it to fit in?